Hello and welcome to this edition of Tips and Tricks. Now today I'm going to be talking about the GOOGAN Krackin Craw. Yeah, this bait right here. Now I just did a video on this bait, first time I ever fished it. And with me, with baits, the first time I fish them, I want to figure out the best way to fish them. And well, I've seen a lot of people throwing this thing, and they were throwing it Texas rigged, just like they throw the bandito bug. And CCB, we actually have our own little custom baits, and we have this little swim flip craw. And I've caught a lot on this Texas rigged. People catch a lot on the bandito bug Texas rigged. So I figured I'm going to go out and I'm going to fish this, and I'm going to rig it up Texas rigged. I mean, it's got a great color. It's basically green pumpkin, little light on the bottom. It's got this nice green and blue flake. And I figured this is going to catch a lot of fish. I mean, I've caught them on this one. I've caught them on a lot of other craw type, just Texas rigged. Now I said we have our own baits, CCB custom baits, and I developed these, and it took me a long time. And when I develop them, what I want to do is figure out the best way to catch fish on it. And with at least the plastics, you know, it's either going to be Texas rigged or a drop shot, or maybe it's a trailer or a Ned rig, something like that. But that's just sort of my process when I developed our baits. And I know the GOOGAN spent a long time developing these baits, and they went through a lot of versions of them, and they tested them and figured out the best way to fish them. So I went to my little local lake and I rigged this Texas rig. Well, here's actually the way I actually rigged it. Got it hooked up, guys. That's how I'm fishing it. 3/0 sliding 3/16 weight. So I took that around my money spots. My money spots is like the places I always catch fish. And I worked it, guys. I worked it. So I ended up getting to the end of it, and I didn't get a single bite on it that way. Texas rigged. You know, working on the bottom, look at those claws, the action, everything. And I've actually worked it in other lakes the same way, just Texas rigged. And I still haven't got a bite on it. I mean, this bait I've caught fish on, and the bandito bug GOOGAN, people catch it Texas rigged, but I've never gotten a bite on this thing, just regular. So that day, the first day of fishing a GOOGAN bait, well, it doesn't obviously work, you know, on its own Texas rig for some reason. I mean, the claws are there. It seems like it would have the action. So I decided, all right, maybe it's better as a trailer. So I actually hooked it up on one of our bladed jigs. And this is how I rigged it. There we go, guys. Krackin Craw on the bladed jig. So I took that and I went around and I fished the same water again, but with it as a trailer. Not on its own, but as a trailer on our bladed jig. And this was the results. Oh. Do I actually have a fish, guys? I do. Look at that. We caught one on a bladed jig with the GOOGAN bait. Yes. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Go, guys. The first fish ever on a GOOGAN bait. Although I had to put it on our bladed jig. But it's a fish. Oh, there we go, guys. Second fish. Yes, there we go, guys. Number 2 on it. Oh, there's fish. Oh, no, must have been him. He came back. Third fish on it, guys. Got 2 new things. Throwing a bladed jig and putting a Krackin Craw as a trailer. Here we go, guys. It's actually a little keeper. Yoo-hoo! Who'd have thought? So right there I went, aha! Like I said, with developing mine and everything, I went, this thing's probably better as a trailer than it is Texas rigged on its own. I mean, putting it on a regular jig, putting it on a swim jig, or, like I did, put it on a bladed jig. And now GOOGAN Baits just came out with their clickbait. And I see a lot of people fishing the clickbait. I've seen a lot of videos on it. Obviously it's new. Everybody's going to be jumping on it, fishing it. And I see a lot of people putting swim bait trailers on it. I mean, I've seen like 4 or 5 people using it, and most of them are putting some sort of swim bait, either the GOOGAN swim bait or some sort of swim bait on as a trailer. And I'm sitting here thinking, you might want to put this, the Krackin Craw on it. The Krackin Craw as a trailer on the new clickbait. Or put it on a jig or put it on a swim jig. That's just what I think will be the best way for you guys to catch more fish on the Krackin Craw. Use it as a trailer. I said, that's just, I mean, that's the way my process is. That's the way I did my baits. I know the GOOGAN spent a lot of time developing these and changing them. And, well, you can kind of see it on here. I mean, the Bandito bug, the claws are kind of straight in the back. Our little swim clip craw, which I've caught a lot, just Texas rig straight. But you look at this, and there is a difference in those claws. They're out, they're more, they got those little ridges on them, so there's a lot of action on them. And for some reason, the bass seem to like it better when it's on a jig or a swim jig or as a trailer than they do just on some Texas rig compared to something with a straighter claw like the Bandito bug. So yeah, that's why I came out and did this. That's why I said I always, it's not always the bait, it's the way you fish it and the way you use it as a soft plastic. And just through my little knowledge and the first time I ever fished it, I quickly realized this is a lot better as a trailer than it is on its own on a Texas rig. So that's going to conclude this little tips and tricks about the GOOGAN baits, Krackin Craw. And I really hope it helps. And please join us next time.